You want the truth? People don't respect kindness. They tolerate it. They exploit it. But respect? That's reserved for the one who can destroy them and chooses not to. They say they love peace, but watch how fast they run toward the man who radiates power, the kind of power that doesn't flinch. I'm not liked. I'm not soft. I'm not safe. And that's exactly why they listen when I speak. They've spent years trying to tame me. Teachers, bosses, politicians, telling me to calm down, to be less intense, to play nice. But underneath their nervous smiles was the truth they never dared to admit. They were afraid of me, and they should be, because I know what I am. I'm not here to be digestible. I'm not here to be cute, safe, or marketable. I'm here to be real, and the truth is ugly. The truth is sharp. The truth breaks skin. Long before cities were built and laws were written, there were men like me, and there were men who hid behind them. The tribe didn't survive because of hugs and group therapy. It survived because there was someone who could pick up a rock and end the threat. And when that was done, they didn't exile him. They didn't shame him. They fed him first. They gave him the best shelter. They let their daughters marry him. He didn't follow the rules. He was the rule. That's what they don't teach you in school. I've seen it play out again and again. In offices, in back rooms, on streets soaked in failure. People don't respect the kind man until the wolves show up. And when they do, they all turn to me. Not because I'm gentle, but because I'm capable of violence without apology. Because I don't flinch. Because I can become a monster on command and they know it. And in that moment, they stop pretending. They stop judging. They stop talking. And they follow. You see, danger commands attention, even when it's silent, especially when it's silent. I don't need to roar. I don't need to fight in public. All I need to do is walk into the room, and they know something just shifted. They'll tell you fear is toxic, that it's bad leadership, that it's primitive, and yet they obey it. They move when it enters the room. They fall in line. They speak carefully. Why? Because deep down, they respect the one who could erase them and doesn't. The man who's smiling, but could just as easily break a jaw. That's real power. It's not about being cruel. It's about being capable. It's about being the one they don't cross, not because you told them not to, but because they felt it. I've learned this. You don't have to be the loudest, just the most dangerous. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something people give when their instincts take over. And instincts don't lie. All this order you see, the laws, the structure, the fragile little comforts, it's all paper thin. It only takes one blackout, one economic collapse, one bad week, and it all comes down. And when it does, it's not the kind who held sensitivity seminars that people look to. It's the kind like me, the prepared, the untamed, the unshakable. I don't romanticize the chaos, but I'm not afraid of it either, because I was built for it. And when everything burns, I'll be the last one standing, not because I'm lucky, but because I'm willing. I am not reckless. I am not wild. I am disciplined danger, the kind that stays dormant until summoned, the kind that people pretend they don't admire, but can't stop watching. You want to be respected? Forget approval. Forget popularity. Become dangerous and stay controlled. Then watch how quickly the world shifts around you. They think being dangerous means being violent, loud, angry, sloppy. They couldn't be more wrong. The most dangerous man in the room isn't the one throwing punches. It's the one who doesn't need to. It's the one who could, and everyone knows it. But he's still, like a coiled serpent. That's the difference. Animals lash out. Boys scream and break glass. But a real man, a real weapon, he's calm, he's cold, he's patient. Because he doesn't need to prove he's dangerous. Everyone already knows. I've trained my rage into discipline, turned instinct into calculation, turned emotion into a tool, not a leash. When I speak, it's deliberate. When I move, it's intentional. And when I act, there's no apology. That's what makes me terrifying. Not chaos, not madness, control. People mistake calm for kindness. But there's a kind of calm that terrifies, because it isn't passive. It's focused, like the eye of a storm, like a loaded gun on a table, silent, unmoving, but you can't stop looking at it. That's what I've become. Let me tell you something simple, but true. If they can't predict you, they can't control you. And that's when fear becomes respect. You want to shake a system? You don't have to raise your voice. You just have to become unreadable. That's why I don't flinch. That's why I don't explain myself. Because the minute they understand you, they start designing cages. But when they look at you and they don't know what comes next, they lean back. They get quiet. They watch their words. That's power. I've been in rooms where people outranked me on paper. They had the title, the degrees, the crowd, but they kept glancing at me. Not because I was loud, but because I was silent and alert. Because my energy wasn't familiar, and people fear what they don't understand. You want respect? Make yourself hard to explain, hard to label, hard to define. Then you're dangerous in the way that actually matters. This world doesn't remember the quiet worker. It doesn't honor the endlessly agreeable. It doesn't etch the name of the obedient into stone. It remembers the force, the disruption, the man who made people uncomfortable because he couldn't be ignored. You don't have to burn cities. You don't have to cause pain. But you better carry the presence of someone who could. Because the moment they sense you're harmless, they stop listening. I've made peace with it. I'd rather be feared than pitied. Rather be alone than surrounded by people who think they can walk over me. Rather be called too much than forgotten as one of the good ones. The world isn't kind to the quiet man who never says no. It uses him, then throws him away when he breaks. But the one who sets the tone, who radiates intensity, who doesn't blink, that man becomes legend. I've bled for my strength. I've suffered for my stillness. I've lost things that most people wouldn't survive. But now, when I enter the room, they feel it. They know. And that's worth everything. Let's not pretend. Being dangerous isn't free. It costs more than most men are willing to pay. It costs your comfort, your softness, your innocence. You lose the luxury of being naive, because the moment you sharpen yourself into a weapon, you start seeing things others refuse to see. And that hurts, but you do it anyway. Why? Because I'd rather carry the weight of awareness than live blind and break when the world doesn't care. I've lost people, not because I failed them, but because I refused to lie to them. I've walked away from comfort, from groups, from women, from jobs, because if it means becoming less of who I am, it's not worth it. People want you to be strong, but only if they can still control you. They'll say they love confidence until it makes them feel small. They'll say they admire power until you won't bow. And then suddenly, you're too intense. You're difficult. You're toxic. But that's fine, because I don't want to be managed. I want to be remembered. You will lose things on this path, but you'll gain something they'll never touch. Sovereignty. You'll stop waiting to be saved. You'll stop explaining yourself. You'll stand alone if you have to and feel no fear doing it. That's the kind of power they can smell when you walk in the room. And that's why they respect you, even if they never say it out loud. They don't tell you this, but weakness is expensive. It costs more than danger ever will. Weak men think if they stay agreeable, they'll be accepted. But the world doesn't work that way. It eats them alive, slowly, quietly, with a smile. I've seen it 100 times. The guy who always says yes, who plays nice, who lowers his voice and never takes up space. And where does it get him? Nowhere. No respect, no loyalty, no legacy. He becomes invisible, used, forgotten, because when you refuse to be dangerous, you force others to protect you, and they resent you for it. Weakness doesn't buy you peace. It buys you chains. Chains at work, chains in relationships, chains in your mind. Until one day you look in the mirror and don't even recognize yourself. You're not a man. You're a placeholder. That's the truth they don't want to hear. Not everyone deserves your softness. Not every situation needs your empathy. Some moments require teeth, a growl, a wall, a warning. And if you don't deliver it, you will lose everything that matters. History doesn't whisper about the men who obeyed. It carves statues of the ones who broke the rules and bent the world into shape. You think they hated power? They followed it. You think they wanted peace? They prayed the dangerous man was on their side. And when he wasn't, they remembered his name anyway. I'm not trying to be loved. I'm not trying to be safe. I'm here to make sure my shadow lingers long after I'm gone. Because when I die, I won't leave behind apologies. I'll leave behind impact. I chose this path. The hard one, the lonely one, the one that strips away comfort and leaves only steel. Because the world doesn't owe me anything, and I owe it my full, dangerous self. I won't be pitied, I won't be softened, and I sure as hell won't be forgotten. They told you to be a good boy, polite, soft-spoken, predictable. They told you it was noble to be harmless, but they lied. Because when the world gets dark, and it always does, No one runs to the harmless man. They run to the one who can end it. They run to the one who knows the fire because he's walked through it and didn't burn. You think harmless earns safety? It doesn't. It earns disrespect. It earns betrayal. It earns dependence, not influence. They teach you to be tame so they can sit you in a corner and forget about you, so they can use you until they don't need you, then replace you with someone more dangerous. Someone like me. The world doesn't need more harmless men. It needs men who can be dangerous and choose when to unleash it. Look around. The systems are breaking. The masks are falling. The weak are panicking. And what do you see rising? Men who are prepared. Men who've spent years building muscle in their body, their mind, and their will. Men who can handle chaos. Men who don't blink when things go black. The future doesn't belong to the agreeable. It belongs to the capable. And capability starts with danger contained, disciplined, and always ready. I've made myself ready, not for applause, not for attention, but because when it all falls, I won't beg. I'll lead. When all is said and done, when the words fade, when the titles mean nothing, when the crowd moves on, only one thing remains, the presence you carved into the world. And let me tell you something, they will remember the man they feared far longer than the one they tolerated. I don't want their approval. I don't need their validation. I'll take their silence. I'll take their wide eyes. I'll take their hesitation when they speak to me, because it means they recognize what I am. Not evil, not cruel, just unwilling to be controlled. And that's enough. So here it is. Be kind, yes, but not harmless. Be calm, but not passive. Be noble, but never neutered. Be the man who smiles, because he knows what he's capable of, and the world feels it every time he enters the room. Because if you want to be respected, you must become dangerous. And if you're dangerous, but disciplined, then you become unforgettable.